Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake up with a Saturday morning sun, pop on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, and we'll try your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning, we watched Challenge of the Super Friends.
Later, when they got to the cast announcements. No, we'll do that in a minute. But like every segment of this show, though, they're just like, later. I love it.
Or it's like, stay tuned, because after commercials, you'll see if the Justice League died or not.
Do you remember that Family Guy where they made that really quick joke about Meg Griffin dating the announcer from the Super Friends? And it was just this old guy and Meg in the back of a car. And he goes, meanwhile, under Meg Griffin's bra. And that was it. That's like the whole
I think I do remember that, actually.
It was such a quick joke, but it was that stuck with me for a long time. That was a pretty good one.
Well, it's one of those voices that really resonates with you, especially if you, not that we were alive when this show was airing, but we saw a lot of it on late night Cartoon Network and stuff like that. Maybe not this show in particular, but there were so many of its ilk that if you watch one of them, you've seen most of them.
Oh, absolutely. Did you see this one when you were a kid?
I don't know if I
remember this one for sure.
So it was weird because this one was like the third iteration. It was like technically the third season of the Super Friends, but it wasn't called just Super Friends anymore. So there were some different naming conventions to it.
Okay.
And then it turned into something else. It was like Galactic Space Force or something.
I mean, why wouldn't it though? But okay.
Right.
So you saw some version of this though.
I've seen the Super Friends. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen Challenge of the Super Friends, which is slightly different, and we'll go into that though.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it. I remember the name for sure because I always remember thinking it was weird, and I'm like, "What's the challenge? Where's the challenge part?" But I don't know.
So, Challenge of the Super Friends aired in 1978, and this was, like I said, Super Friends 3 was essentially its moniker or its alternate moniker. It was a third series of Super Friends cartoons following the original Super Friends in 1973. And the all-new Super Friends Hour in 1977. It was weird because the way that we were trying to pick episodes, I had to kind of like back off a bit and be like, wait, I don't think this is all the same thing because it's combined with the all-new Super Friends Hour. So the first segment is just that where it's, you know, Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Wonder Twins going straight from Super Friends proper into that. But then the second segment is truly Challenge of the Super Friends. It condenses the amount of people in the Justice League. I don't even remember their names. The Wonder Twins. It was like Zan and Jana or something.
Jaina, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't know that the Wonder Twins are in this segment at all. At least none of the episodes we saw. In Challenge of the Super Friends, though, this was the 16 episode series. It came closer to the comic books because it had the Justice League of America, but also it was the first one to feature DC supervillains from the comics. And that's actually where the name Legion of Doom came from.
Yeah.
This was developed by E. Nelson Bridwell, Carmine Infantino, and Julius Schwartz, based on Justice League by Gardner Fox, directed by Mike Fallows, produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and DC Comics. It ran for one season, 16 episodes on ABC originally. For a short synopsis by Kenneth Chisholm, he has returned.
It's returned.
The algorithm
is back to haunt us.
The Justice League of America battles the plots of the supervillain team, the Legion of Doom. Very basic, Kenneth.
Can't hold it against him or it, whatever this algorithm is.
I mean, he's straight to the point.
And this one was suggested to us by William via Facebook. So thank you, William.
Yes, thank you.
But this got voted to the very bottom of the list. And I want to know why. Like, who is hating on the Super Friends that hard? Like, how are you guys hating on it so much?
I was a little torn on this originally. When I first started watching it, I was
Yeah?
I was looking at it from a certain perspective, but then I really lightened up on it, and I was like, you know what? I'm watching it like I would have back then, and actually started to enjoy it a lot more the more I watched it. So we'll talk more about it as we go into the episodes. Who are some of the actors who played in this show?
Oh man, that is okay. Everyone, I just want everyone to help me out here. Everyone, just strap in. Take off your shoes. Take your shoes off, everyone. Kick them off real quick. I want you to. We're gonna have to ground ourselves. We're gonna do a little grounding exercise. Put your feet flat on the floor. Flat. Place your palms just flat on your thighs, if you have thighs, unless you're just thighless. And then that case, put them somewhere else, just some sort of flat surface. Okay. And then just prepare yourself mentally here. So the narrator, that voice, the narrator, his voice was provided by Bill Woodson. Superman's voice provided by Danny Dark. Wonder Woman provided by Shannon Farnan. Batman voiced by Olan Soule. Flash, Hawkman, and Samurai voiced by Jack Angel, which is the best name ever. Like, if I ever change my name, it's going to be Jack Angel now. Who is that man? I'm Jack Angel.
That sounds like a spy of some sort.
A
or
spy
secret agent.
/ professional wrestler who goes everywhere on a motorcycle. Yeah. Jack
or
Angel.
one of those prop magicians.
Yeah. Oh my God. I could do anything if my name's Jack Angel, and I would. Black Vulcan, voiced by Buster Jones. Green Lantern and Apache Chief, voiced by Michael Rye. Robin and the JLA computer, voiced by Casey Kasem. Aquaman and Bizarro, voiced by Bill Calloway. Lex Luthor, voiced by Stan Jones. Cheetah, voiced by Marlene Aragon. Riddler, voiced by Michael Bell. Captain Cold and the Hall of Doom computer. We've got dueling computers here. Voiced by Dick Reel. Okay. Brainiac and Black Manta, voiced by Ted Cassidy. Giganta, voiced by Ruth Foreman. Scarecrow, voiced by Don Messick. Sinestro, voiced by Dick Perrin. Gorilla Grodd, voiced by Stanley Ralph Ross. Solomon Grundy, voiced by Jimmy Weldon. And Toyman, voiced by Frank Welker. That's not even like everybody, because there's so many like side characters that show up, like, you know, Lois Lane and Alfred and others. And I can't, man. It's so long. We would be here all day. And I would love to get into all of these other actors, like some of the other roles that they would have, that they've had over the years, because this is like a list of very seasoned voice actors. Like, this is some voice actor royalty here. A lot of them, especially you might recognize from other episodes that we've done. You'll recognize a lot of like Casey Kasem, Frank Welker, Don Messick, people like that. Obviously, these are really, really, really talented people, but we don't have the time for it. So there we are.
Yeah, I don't even know if we heard Toyman talk during this, because I think I would have heard Frank Welker's
We did not.
voice. Yeah.
We did not. And we only heard Samurai say one thing, I think, through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we heard Brainiac talk either at all. It's weird that
he's very silent.
They, like, so many of these characters are just kind of there and have only like one or two lines or don't talk at all.
I feel like, yeah, like there's like 4 or 5 main characters on the Justice League side,
Yes.
and 4 or 5 main on the Legion of Doom side. And
The rest are just there.
the others are really side characters who probably only get attention if they have an episode sort of dedicated to what they're doing specifically. I was
Yeah,
surprised
and-
Scarecrow got as much attention as he did, because he didn't really do anything.
Yeah, and it's definitely like the ones that you would typically think. Like, it's going to be Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern. You know, those are the ones with the big speaking parts and stuff, where you've got like Black Vulcan, Samurai, Apache Chief hardly ever speak at all. And it's like, that's too bad.
I think Robin had more speaking lines than even Flash did.
Yeah, Robin did get to speak a lot, to be honest. Holy gee willikers.
Oh yeah, this is classic Robin. I loved it.
Yeah.
So here's a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Challenge of the Super Friends cereal. The Legion of Doom was based on DC Comics' Secret Society of that's a lot of S's. Secret Society of Supervillains. So the name Legion of Doom was coined for this show specifically and really carried on past it because I don't think we've heard Secret Society of Supervillains much at all. There's just too many S's in there. But Legion of Doom is a classic name that has carried on.
Yeah.
The opening narration describes the Legion of Doom as being banded together from remote galaxies. However, of the Legion's 13 members, only 2, Sinestro and Brainiac, are from alien planets. The rest are pretty much from Earth. So I don't know where these remote galaxies they're speaking of are.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. Point it out on a map for us.
Originally, when Black Vulcan first appeared in the all-new Super Friends Hour, 1977, his costume covered his legs. Starting in this series, Black Vulcan's costume no longer covered his legs.
Whoa! What a controversy.
It's just so weird. Like, they just decided, you know what? He needs to show more leg.
We got to show him some more leg. You know what? It's time. Guys, it's time.
The world's
Get
ready
everybody
for it.
in here.
Yeah. Giganta has been an enemy of Wonder Woman in the comics since 1944, where her character was originally a female gorilla that had been mutated into a red-haired strong woman. But when her character was written to challenge the Super Friends, they introduced her shape-changing ability, which has been retained in the comics ever since. So this is one of those situations where they just carried on with Giganta from the show as she was presented, not a gorilla transformed into a woman.
So in the comics, she was a gorilla that was turned into a woman.
A red-headed woman, yes.
That is so weird. Okay,
Yep.
Golden Age of Comics. I see you. I see what you're up to.
And she wasn't even presented as Wonder Woman's foe in this one. She was Apache Chief's counterpart since they could both grow giant.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on with all that. Like, I feel like they brought in a lot of I see what they were doing because they were trying to do some more representation in here, and I appreciate that because this is like a time period where that was not like a big thing. Like, that wasn't done a lot. So kudos for them trying to bring more representation. However, they didn't always go about it in the best way. And they kind of shoehorned in a lot of these characters. And some of that was obvious with the designs. And also the idea of giving them not really their own like nemesis, but just kind of giving them like hand-me-down nemesis from other superheroes.
Yeah.
So
a few of them I think were made for this show. Black Vulcan and, not Challenge of the Super Friends, but Super Friends in general, Black Vulcan and Apache Chief specifically, I believe were made for this show.
Yeah. I mean, at least there's, I'm not going to knock that. Like, I really enjoyed Apache Chief as a kid. He was my favorite actually on the show.
Yeah. What is it he says when to grow giant? Like Inunchuck or something?
I don't remember. I do remember a really funny bit about that on Robot Chicken though, that when he spilled coffee on his crotch, like he couldn't grow anymore. And then he had to get pills and all kinds of stuff.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. It's a mess, but he was my favorite character as a kid.
So let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. The very first episode, High Shred episode, and finally a random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how these episodes fall chronologically, but of course we have to start with the very first episode, which was Wanted, the Super Friends, Season 1, Episode 1. In this one, Lex Luthor creates a dream machine that causes the Super Friends to steal the world's treasures overnight. Bizarro and Cheetah turn people around the world into Bizarros and Cheetahs. Oh, man. So
that's very true.
Yeah, that wraps up the episodes in a nutshell.
Well, but they also like tried to shoot the Super Friends into the sun.
Right, yeah.
So that's
that
the other part
happens.
that we're missing. But yeah, that does kind of wrap it all up.
They do try to eradicate the Super Friends. What were some of your favorite parts about this episode?
Well, I want to say one thing first. So this isn't so much. There's a couple of things I just want to bring up, and I guess this might be a little unfair because this isn't so much about this episode in particular, but this is kind of about the show as a whole. But I was thinking about it a lot in this first episode because this was our first foray back into this show since being kids. So like the backgrounds and the music in this show are beautiful, which was kind of crazy to me. It's a strong suit of a lot of the shows from this time period. Very painted looking, detailed backgrounds. And the music is super memorable, even though it's all kind of utilized in a lot of other similar Hanna-Barbera cartoons like Scooby-Doo and Transformers, along with others that kind of stick throughout like the coming decades of the 80s and 90s and stuff. But seriously, just every scene, the backgrounds just look so good. Like the opening scene that when you always see like the swamp and that crocodile open its eye before that Legion of Doom, the big like little base comes out of the swamp and stuff like that. It looks so good, and I love that. And just like being able to see the big teams of both the heroes and villains is really cool too. Like I really do enjoy getting to see like lines in the sand when it comes to heroes and villains and stuff like that, like seeing teams kind of pair off like that. So getting to see like all the heroes together, getting to see all the villains together on one side juxtaposition to themselves. I enjoyed that aspect a lot of it. And then even though how elaborately silly Lex Luthor's plan was, I still had a really fun time with it. So like it cracked me up because like it was kind of started out a I don't want to say believable, but this idea that he has a device and it's Lex Luthor and it's this cartoon. So you're suspending a little bit of disbelief, but you're like, okay, got it. So he's got this device that can brainwash some people. Okay, I'm with you so far. He's going to use it and he's going to brainwash the Super Friends and they're going to steal all of this expensive stuff. I'm like, okay, makes some sense. All right, they're going to put it all in one place. Okay, got it. The Super Friends are going to put themselves in a prison. Okay, well, all right, pretty smart so far. This prison has rockets under it and it's going to blast them into the sun. Well, okay, now you're starting to lose me a little bit. Where is this going next? Oh, we're going to turn the rest of the world. All of the men are now all going to look like Bizarro Superman, and all of the women are going to be Cheetah, including the Cheetah headgear with the little cat ears on.
Right.
Whoa. That's the plan?
That's where I was like, I feel like they just didn't want to make extra models to animate. So they're just like, let's just use all Bizarro and Cheetah models for this big cast of characters we're going to have robbing things.
Like, oh man, that part, that went into one of the dislikes. I was like, you had me for a while. Like I was having a good time for a while. And then it was just like, can we jump the shark in the first episode? And they're like, oh, we can jump more than a shark.
I feel like this just sets you up for how the show's going to be, because I was unprepared for that completely. Even like launching into the sun, that's a very supervillain plan. And I was with them. I was like, okay, awesome. This is, it may not be like comic level, but as far as the, Super Friends and whatnot goes, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. There's always some kind of crazy outlandish scheme that they aren't going to kill the heroes right away. It's always like some kind of trap or something. And this lines right up with that. Launching him to the sun, great.
I was confused though, because like the yellow sun powers Superman. So like his proximity to it, like getting closer, wouldn't Superman get more powerful?
Yeah, but obviously you're forgetting the special muscle rays that that Lex Luthor put around them so that they couldn't move, because Superman even says, like, my super strength is nothing if I can't move my muscles.
I didn't realize that Green Lantern has no power over anything that has the color yellow.
Yeah, that's accurate, because that holds up still.
So he's just like, oh, the sun's yellow. I have no power.
Nope,
so
it wasn't the sun. It was the bars. The bars were yellow. Like, Lex Luthor thought it through.
But he even said something about the sun as they were getting closer. He's like, I have no power over this yellow sun.
No, I don't remember him saying the sun, but definitely the bars that were around him.
Let me follow this logic and play with me in this space for a minute. So anything, any other color, Green Lantern has power over. Is that what we're saying?
Kind of. You're simplifying, but yes.
But so I could defeat him potentially with a banana peel.
No, because
it's yellow.
The but to that is that Green Lanterns are inherently weaker to yellow, but their willpower can overcome even yellow if it is strong enough. because yellow is the color
Hmm.
of fear in that Lantern universe, or just in the Lantern lore. And so it's fear versus will, essentially.
Well, okay, so if I had an anthropomorphic banana man, would that be like his worst nightmare?
It depends on how strong it was or how willful he was against it.
What if it's like that peanut butter jelly time banana that gets that song stuck in everybody's
It
head?
depends on if he was scared of it. I don't know.
Because that's very will breaking if you hear that song
Look,
over
Green
and
Lantern's
over
one of
for
my
a
favorite
while.
characters, so I'm going to need you to stop playing him down. He has great powers. I appreciated that they held the yellow, him being weaker to yellow anything in there. Like, that was something that's like, I'm glad they kept that as part of the core weaknesses.
Okay, but which Green Lantern is your favorite though? Because there's a billion Green Lanterns. So is it Hal? Is it Guy? Is it like who?
Mm,
Is it any of the new ones? Because I know there's like a
it
couple
might
ladies
be
in
it
there
might be
now.
Kyle because he's the artist.
Is that Kyle Rayner?
Yeah,
Okay. Look at me knowing some of these names. Are you proud of me?
a little bit.
I've never read a single comic with him in it, but I knew his name.
Oh man, they have such good comics. So what else did you like about it, about the show in general?
I mean that's about it. No, I mean, I mean this episode. As far as this episode goes, like that covers it. I think the backgrounds are great. The music's fantastic, and like how the plan started. Like I was on board up until a point.
One of my favorite things was Bizarro's dumb laugh because it's Mojo Jojo's laugh essentially.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then I was like, "Oh, this is funny." And then when all of them turned into Bizarros and they were all laughing like that in
Oh,
unison,
God.
I was like, "Man, this is great." That had me cracking up. And then I appreciated also when it was kind of earlier on when Batman and Robin were robbing the U.S. Mint, and the guards are just like, "This is federal property, Batman. Leave or we'll have to arrest you." And he just like runs by him and takes the money.
Yeah,
They know they can't do anything. They're just trying
yeah.
to.
They just stand there and wait for themselves to get like taken out. They're just like, there's nothing we can do here.
Right.
It's just done.
And I
We're
mean,
done.
even more so when Superman robs Fort Knox, where they're just like,
Oh, yeah.
Superman, we're gonna have to ask you to stop. And they try to bring a tank and get him, and then he flips the
Yeah.
tank over himself, and it makes like a funny noise. Like the sound effects are so great in this. What are some of the things you dislike?
Well, I mean, I did dislike the Bizarro and Cheetah aspect of the plan because that was just stupid. It made no sense.
Yeah.
Like the plan was they had to turn them in everyone else in the world into Bizarros and Cheetahs to get them to help the Legion steal more stuff. I'm like, you already stole the largest amount of wealth you could. Why do you need more? Also, why do they have to look like Bizarro and Cheetah to do so? That makes no sense. Except though, I'm going to make one exception. When the Super Friends do, eventually escape from being hurtled into the sun and Batman and Robin get to the Batcave, like they have to fight against Alfred Bizarro, which
Oh yeah.
he introduces himself as Alfred Bizarro, as if that's his last name now. That was great.
official.
That made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
At just how stupid that was.
Alfred Bizarro was hilarious. I loved him
Yeah.
too.
A couple of other things. The character animation is not great. Which is not surprising. It's very choppy. There's a lot of awkward and distorted looks. Just very, very poorly animated. But that's part of the course for stuff like this. I mean, Hanna-Barbera cartoons, especially of this age, it's just like that. I mean, you look at the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It's the same thing. Beautifully done backgrounds, amazing music scores, horribly animated characters. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a fun time regardless. But it's just how it goes. The only other thing is just like I feel like I don't know. I don't like how they were making Wonder Woman's character kind of dumb a little bit in this, in that like they obviously knew that they had been manipulated and that they knew that they didn't like the I'm talking about like the Super Friends. They knew that they didn't do anything of their own accord and that they didn't consciously go out and steal stuff. But Wonder Woman's argument is still that they committed crimes, so they have to pay the price. They need to just stay in jail and do nothing about it. And I'm like, really? Like, Wonder Woman would not do that. Like, the Wonder Woman we know, I mean, not just movies or shows or whatever we know, I mean, from the comics and everything, she would be like the first one to be like, nope, we're going to go take these dudes out now.
I was thinking that about Batman and his conceit to just be like, well, we got to stay in jail. It's what we have to do. It's the right thing to do. Like, that's not what Batman would do. He'd be like,
heck no.
All right, Kal-El, you go to jail, Superman. I'm going to
go. You go ahead, Boy Scout. You rot in prison.
I'm the world's greatest detective. I'm going to go find out why this happened.
Speaking of him being the world's greatest detective, that is something that irked me in a different episode, but it's going to be a while before we get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with Wonder Woman, and I agree with the thing with Batman too, like that did irk me. I felt like that was very against character for some of these heroes to just be like, oh, well, this happened and we'll just let it go. That's fine. Yeah, we'll just go to jail. Whatever.
So for my dislikes, I agree with you completely on the plan. It was the worst plan. That was just all the cheetah headgear on everybody. That didn't make sense. Turning them into those characters at all didn't make sense. All it did was turn them bad. They didn't have any extra powers or anything. They just were bad guys and they looked like the other bad guys. It didn't give them any abilities, so it was pointless. I was bothered by the fact that everybody could just breathe out in space. Like when they were in that cage.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like when they were in that cage, maybe it was like a protected cage and it was blocking and it was holding oxygen in it, fine. But then when they got out of the
jail
cage,
cell, man.
And then when they got out of the cage and they could still breathe, it was like, all right, for everybody, okay, except for Batman and Robin, at least give them a mask or something, like some kind of breathing apparatus. But no, I didn't care. It's just like, well, we can breathe and talk in space. It's fine. So you just have to accept it. And then the battles, at least in this one, are pretty unimpressive.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So let's move on to the second episode we watched for today's show, which was Secret Origins of the Super Friends, Season 1, Episode 8. This was the highest rated, where Lex Luthor takes the Legion of Doom into the past so that they can prevent Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern from coming into existence. Which I thought they were going to try to Sarah Connor them and terminate them, but
that'd be way too dark for a kid's
yeah,
show.
that's why I was concerned at first, but then it's just like, oh no, they're just literally changing their origins.
There was a point though that like when the Superman one came up, I did think they were about the Sarah Connor Superman, but
instead they specifically said we're veering him off course so he can grow up normally while still under the red sun.
Yes, but I thought they were going to just shoot his ship and blow him up. I liked this episode a lot. I understand why this was the highest rated because you are getting the origins of some of these characters, and even though they're brief, it's pretty cool getting to see, like, getting just to explore a really quick coverage of where three of these super popular heroes come from. I like that a lot, and them being, you know, even somewhat comic accurate too, which was great. And then also getting to see like an alternate version of it as the Legion interrupts it was really cool. Like that was one of the probably the biggest thing I liked about this was just getting to see it play out differently and who was doing what. But like I feel like it could have gone a lot farther and because we get to see that with the way that it was interrupted, like they do on the island where Wonder Woman grows up, they do that contest to see who's going to go to the United States and help them in the First World War. That Cheetah goes in there disguised and participates in this tournament or whatever and ends up winning instead, you know, because cheating. But like, so she becomes Wonder Woman and like gets, you know, some of Wonder Woman's gear, like the gauntlets, the lasso, whatever. But then it's just like, I'm not going to do anything with it. There won't be a Wonder Woman. I'm like, why wouldn't you just use those tools and be even more powerful as Cheetah? I don't know.
Yeah, that was the same with Lex taking Green Lantern's ring. He's like, all right, now I'm the Green Lantern. I'm not going to do anything with it.
No, he's not the Green Lantern because one of my dislikes was he called himself the Green Luthor. Oh. God. Some of the other things that I did like in this episode was seeing some of the other Super Friends fight because I honestly didn't remember I don't remember the character of Samurai at all. And I had no idea what this guy could do. And as far as I can tell, the only thing he can do is turn invisible. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like at one point he turned invisible.
I think he can turn invisible, and he has some kind of like wind powers behind him. I don't know.
Sure, why not? Why wouldn't he? So like getting to see them fight, even though they were fighting each other, which is because mind control things. That's fun. They with some of the Super Friends having not existed, that being Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Superman, because the Legion was successful at stopping their original origins. Then they abducted the rest of the Super Friends, which I guess without those three, they're weak as heck. Split them into two groups. Four of them ended up, well, ditching the others and escaping. I'll get into that later. The other four, they made them kind of fight each other for their entertainment, which was interesting. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed seeing that. I just thought that was kind of fascinating, watching them fight each other. The third thing that I wrote down that I really liked, and this is, I'm about to nerd out on you, dude. I'm so sorry. I hope you're ready for this. This is when Flash vibrated his cells to pass through the walls. That was interesting to me because it's something that I didn't really think that they would do. Like, I don't know if he ever did that in the comics or anything. I didn't expect it, but it's interesting to me because there's actually like a real science behind that in a way, whether they knew that at the time or not. So if you ever like look into any of my science nerds out there, look up information on spintronics. So basically it's the theory that like if you can spin all of the electrons within an item in the exact same way as another item, then they can pass through one another because there's absolutely zero resistance. So it's kind of like the same way how like someone like Kitty Pryde's powers would be theoretically possible. Here they kind of explained it by just vibrating really fast, which is not exactly the same thing, but it's kind of like onto that path. Like it's similar. So like to me, I was just like, oh, okay. Somebody put a little bit of thought into something. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that does happen in the comics, at least post this show. I don't know that it happened before that, but I'm guessing that it was pulled from the comics in some form at least, because I don't know that they would have just made it up for the show, but who knows?
I just really like that. I'm always really fascinated in if you can take like a superpower and then find some sort of scientific, even if it's just a theory that can make it any kind of plausible whatsoever. And so that like scene right there really set that off on me. And I was just like, yeah, cool.
I'm always interested when they actually utilize some of the powers in that sort of way. And it's not just like, oh, he can run fast, or, oh, Green Lantern can make green things. You know, it's like when they're actually pulling from the comics, even in this like show that's obviously more geared towards children, it's like that makes it just feel a lot more authentic, I guess.
Yeah, and use the powers in a way that they're not typically utilized.
Right. So some of my likes, I like that Cheetah was actually, I liked her better without the mask on. I was like, oh, like she looks way cooler and like way more attractive, I guess, without that dumb.
I was going to say, you want to waifu her.
Yeah, like she's my cartoon waifu now, because I was like, whoa, like that's what your helmet was hiding? Come on. And then she just puts it right back on. And I was immediately disappointed again.
You're like, ugh.
It's like, yeah, she, like you said, she should have just stayed Wonder Woman. Like it just made sense. I like that Abin Sur was the one who gave Green Lantern his ring. I didn't know that they would go that route because I wasn't sure how deeply they would go into the origins. But it was like you were saying earlier, I appreciate that they stuck relatively close to the comic, a little different with Wonder Woman's, but closer with Green Lantern. So that was pretty cool that Abin Sur had, he was dying, he had come from space, and he needed to pass the green ring on to someone who had, you know, a strong will on Earth. And so that's how it went to Hal. So I liked that they kept him in. And so the Batman chin stroke, I'm sure you've seen that GIF because I've sent it to a couple people I know where he's just like thinking, he's just like, that came from this episode specifically, I think, unless they just reused it in other episodes, which they may have. But I just know in this one, like it was the exact meme or it was the exact GIF that I've used before. And I really appreciated that.
There you go.
So some of your dislikes, what are those?
Some of the dislikes, there is a lot of just like out the window logic in this one. As much as like they did like the Flash thing that I talked about that I really liked, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually a really intelligent way to do this, and it makes sense. They threw a lot of everything else out the window here. Like the idea that Diana secretly competes in this tournament wearing a domino mask, thinking like, oh, no one's going to recognize me if I wear this thing that only covers my eyebrows. No one will figure out who I am, even though I'm the only one wearing a mask.
Yeah, and even my own mother.
My own mother. And then Cheetah comes in, who no one has ever seen before, and nobody questions it at all. And ends up winning. It's like, what? And they're just like, oh, you're the best of the Amazons who we've never met. Like, come on. That doesn't make any sense. The other thing, I mean, I wrote I got really mad at a lot of the puns here. I'm going to talk about another pun in the next episode I got mad about. But yeah, the Green Luther pun was stupid. Something that just went along with that too. Like the idea that when Hal was being summoned, but then Luther shows up and he's like, Hal Jordan, get out of there. And Hal gets out of that little jet plane he was about to test out, and Luther instead jumps in. It was weird to me that it was actually summoning like the jet and not Hal himself. That didn't make any sense to me. Like that shouldn't have worked. Like the jet wasn't the thing that had willpower. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Again, it was just like a lot of logic just kind of stopped. And then so I also thought it was weird that like Batman and his group just kind of ditched the other Super Friends. So I said that like the Super Friends got split into two groups once the other three were gone. So one group is like ends up escaping because they get into like the bowels of the Legion of Doom's headquarters. They get to a computer. They find out that, hey, there used to be three other Super Friends. They've been erased from our reality. Who are they? Oh, this is what the Legion of Doom did. Well, let's figure out how to reverse them using the Legion of Doom's own technology against them. They go to do that. They leave their other four friends fighting for the Legion of Doom's entertainment. They're just like, we'll just leave them here. That's fine. I mean, I guess that works as a distraction, but like that seemed very like not heroic to do, to just let their friends stay there and just keep fighting for someone's entertainment. And then there's the idea that like, even if they go back and they rescue, you know, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern from the ramifications of what the Legion did, couldn't the Legion just do it all over again? Or is there now a paradox in which this has always happened? I don't know. God, I hate time travel. I hate it so much. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
I have a headache now. I quit.
That was really one of my main complaints too, aside from Wonder Woman's domino mask, which I also wrote down, and worse yet, that her mother Hippolyta fell for it. And it's just like, you win, mysterious new person who is my daughter in every way, except she never has her eyes covered. Yeah, that was tough to accept, but you know, it's whatever.
You'd think an island that had like these Amazonian women that has stayed hidden away for centuries, you'd think they'd be a little bit like less trusting of complete strangers that just show up to fight in tournaments.
Yeah, and I would think they would all know each other at this point. There wouldn't be any like acceptance of strangers.
That makes zero sense.
So the various modes of time travel bothered me also, where it's like, okay,
that didn't make any sense at all. Like I didn't even try.
I understand that Flash can time travel. I understand after reading a little bit more into it that Black Vulcan can time travel using his lightning abilities. Like I read that. But Batman in the Batplane time traveling, just because it was like, because it can go faster than the speed of time or something. It's like, oh, come on. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll just use my bat timer.
And then time travel, like you said, is a slippery slope. And since the ability to travel through time wasn't taken away from the Legion of Doom, that is, like, I thought the same thing. They could literally just do it again, because that's how they escaped at the very end, was traveling through time. So it's like, why wouldn't they just go and do it again? Or knowing what they know now, go and do it slightly differently to alter that. Like, they should have, at the end of this, stricken their ability to travel through time altogether, destroyed the device or something, just altogether, just taking it out of the equation, because now it just leaves too many loopholes. And then Wonder Woman is just like, there's always like a line at the end by Wonder Woman or Superman or Batman. And this one was about time. It's like, well, time helped free them, but time gives us a chance to catch them tomorrow. It's like, that's what you gathered from this? Like, that's your final takeaway?
Like, we could keep them from causing trouble, but then we wouldn't have anything to do tomorrow.
But what fun would that be?
Yeah. Dang. That's messed up, man.
So yeah, time travel just makes things really tough if you're not careful. And they didn't even try to like make it make sense. They're just like, yeah, it's fine.
That pushes my brain into some sort of like, like Alan Moore Watchmen territory of like, we need to let like the villains have a little bit of leeway. We need to let them run rampant a little bit, because then we don't have anything, like we don't have a purpose if we don't let the villains do something.
I'm sure it wasn't that deep
in
this specific episode.
But God, does my brain hurt right now thinking about it? That's for sure.
The last one we watched for today's show was The Final Challenge, season 1, episode 12, which was my pick. And in fact, not the final challenge.
Yeah, not the final episode.
No,
so
the godlike ruler Vartu forces the Super Friends and the Legion of Doom to compete in deadly games.
Yeah,
that's true. Under the guise, though, that it's for the sake of peace. Basically, he's tired of them fighting back and forth and not coming to any kind of resolution. So he's like, you know what? We're just going to stop it right here. Whoever wins this tournament lives, and whoever doesn't, I'm just going to kill. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
I get it.
He is basically the viewers of this show. Like, come on. Like, it keeps going back and forth. Somebody needs to win.
Someone kill somebody. That's what I'm watching this for.
Yeah.
When is Batman finally going to snap someone's neck? Man, I bet he saw Batman v Superman and he was like, finally! God, someone broke someone's neck. Jeez.
This episode was interesting, for sure. It was funny.
It was.
But there were some things I liked and didn't like about it. What were some of the things you liked?
Some of the things I liked, and there's something I liked, but I was kind of like an unsure of how much I liked it. I don't know. I was just like, I was interested in something about this that just made me want to understand more about the comic side of things, more than like being intrigued in this episode specifically. So like this episode gave me some vibes from stuff that I'm familiar with on the Marvel side of comics, which is one like Uatu the Watcher and also Secret Wars. So like this episode was giving me vibes from both of those. Oh, and I guess also in that sense, Contest of Champions, with like Grandmaster and Maestro and all that stuff. So like that made me kind of want to be like, okay, well then who was kind of doing that stuff first? Because it makes me think that maybe DC did that kind of storyline first before Marvel did that. But I'm only familiar with the Marvel side of things. I don't know that much about the greater world of DC Comics. So I guess what I'm saying is I liked this episode in that it did pique my interest to learn more about DC from that standpoint in DC's history as far as some of their stories and stuff go. Because like I've always wanted to know a little bit more. I know a little bit about like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, like the basics. I've read a lot of Batman. I haven't read a lot of everybody else. I'm kind of interested now. Like it's definitely piqued some interest. I did like that out of the characters that did get taken to this world, not all of them did, but that a lot of them were heroes going up against some established nemesis counterparts. So we had like Batman versus Riddler, Aquaman versus Black Manta, Wonder Woman versus Cheetah, and Superman versus Bizarro. Then we had Apache Chief versus Scarecrow for some reason. I don't know who his typical nemesis would be, but if you were right, he was made for this show, so he wouldn't have one. So
well, that's why they made Giganta his nemesis, since they could both grow giant.
But then why did they not bring her in here and they brought Scarecrow instead? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
if they were
that And why didn't Apache Chief just grow big and stop that Hydra? Why did he stay normal size? Like, he could have easily won that battle.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. The last thing I just wanted to say about, like, one thing I liked is that Samurai actually got to talk. Like, this dude has been just completely silent through everything else we've seen. And I don't like the idea of having these characters, especially like I don't want to be this guy, and I don't want to start this. I don't want to start this argument or something because I haven't watched all of the show. So I don't know all of, I can't speak to all of it, but from the episodes that we watched, the characters of color definitely had like the least amount of speaking parts. And I'm like, it just kind of irked me a little bit. And like, so when he finally got to actually talk and interact with somebody a little bit, I'm like, well, finally, geez. So I was happy about that, but I'm just kind of like, man, I just hope that was just me wondering about it a lot and that it wasn't actually like a thing, you know? You know what I'm trying to say?
I don't feel like there was necessarily underlying ill intent or anything. I just feel like he was a underdeveloped character made for the show, and so he didn't they didn't really feel that they needed to give him many speaking lines because he was just a supporting character.
Well, and I think I think that's kind of where I was going with it. Not that like it was like an intended thing, but more of a them trying to fill a quota kind of thing of okay, well now we need, we need a native character, we need a black character, we need an Asian character. So they like throw these guys in, but then they didn't do much with them. They're just kind of like, well, they're there. And as long as they're there, it doesn't matter, So,
yeah, but I mean,
I don't know.
Times were different. It's just one of those things.
It really
it's
was.
like, just be glad that we've evolved past that. And now, if we had Samurai in a current show, he would get a lot more attention, and it'd be fine.
It does make me want to look up and see if some of these characters have appeared in other DC shows since, because, like I said, I'm not that familiar with DC stuff at all. So I really do want to know more about it. So like, yeah, if listeners, if you know more about some of those characters and stuff, let us know. I would love to see some comments and things like that, because, point me in the direction of some other stuff with like Samurai or Apache Chief or Black Vulcan. I'm genuinely interested to know more about those characters.
So some of my likes were, this was one of the episodes that was kind of Robin heavy as far as his catchphrases go.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them was like, "Holy vanishing point." And then there was, "Holy Sinestro trap." Like, I just appreciated that because that is just classic Robin to me. And so it was kind of filling that nostalgic void as far as Robin goes, because more than anything, he's usually kind of a annoying like side character. But in this one, he just had some really fun interjections, especially at the end. And I'll get to that as I talk about one of my other points.
Yeah.
But one of my other likes was that Vartu, like I said, was just kind of tired of the back and forth. And so I like the idea of this episode where it's just this being, this watcher, basically, who just it's as if Uatu is just like tired of seeing it all. He's just like, you know what? You fight to the death.
Yeah, he's just so done. He's like, please kill each other.
He is. He's like, just please. Somebody decide. I don't care who wins, just somebody win. And that's really what it was. Like, he wasn't siding with either of them. He just like, you just need to settle it. Like right now, just
hurry
throw
up and
hands.
Die.
And I just thought that was really funny. I appreciated at the end where after all was said and done and the Super Friends came out on top, he was literally going to melt the Legion of Doom in an acid pit. Well, he was going, aside from Bizarro, he wouldn't have melted because we saw that Superman was able to swim down there, but that's a whole nother thing. And they save him, of course. But one of my other favorite things was where Robin, connected to that, was where Robin was like, at the end, questioning to Wonder Woman. He's like, maybe we should have just let him melt. Like, they've been pretty bad.
I was Robin here because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, you should have just left him there. Because, like, of course, like, after the Super Friends save them, they're just like, ha ha ha, well, now we're out of here and we're going to leave you here to rot. I mean, little did they know, Old Man was just like, man, I'm over this. And he zaps all of them out of there together.
Yeah. But for some reason, like, he lets them capture him for a second. And he's just like, you know what? I brought you here. I'm going to just teleport you out. Like, he could have easily just like wiped one of them out.
Kill them all at that point.
Yeah, well, some of your dislikes. What are those?
Some of my dislikes. I mean, one of them was just like it was part of that. It was the other side of that samurai finally getting a speaking part, and I talked at length about that. So we'll go on. Another one was another really bad pun, which was Cheetah saying, "No fair, you cheated."
Oh my God. Yes.
Like sometimes puns are fun, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it with this one. This was my really big dislike, which was when Batman and the Riddler were going through the maze. Because this was I was like, come on. So they're going through this maze that's made of like all stone. Somehow going through this maze, Riddler finds a bunch of random like fronds and starts laying them over a pit. And Batman, who's the greatest detective in the world, doesn't see this as weird at all, and he just falls right in. I'm like, what? Come on. Just anyone would have noticed this. What?
Right. You could have accepted it with any other character, but Batman specifically,
yes.
You're right. They were just completely out of place. Everything else was just normal ground, and there's just these frond everywhere.
Yeah.
He just walks right on it.
And it's like not even like when we say normal ground, it's not even like we're not talking dirt. We're not talking like gravel. We're talking like this is like slabs, like polished stone, like perfectly cut. I mean, it was like they were in a very like cut place. Like I'm trying to do it just as like it looked like it was like something that you'd walk into like a museum or something like that. You know how sometimes you see those really big slabs that are put together with the cement or whatever, something like that. So, no foliage anywhere around. How did he not see it? If it was Flash, I'd maybe get it. Like he's running so fast he doesn't see it, but then maybe he would just run right over it. I don't know. I got mad.
Yeah, that was one of mine too. I just wrote worst maze ever because not only
it wasn't even much of a maze.
Did he fall into that pit that Riddler kept calling a bottomless pit, even though there was clearly a bottom to it.
Oh yeah.
And then the way out of the maze was just walking up the stairs out of the pit. And then he's like, oh, hey, here's the exit. And so Riddler has to go through the whole maze. And he's like, yes, I finally got out. But Batman had just walked up the stairs. I mean, he had to fight a giant skeleton under there or whatever. Sure. He beat it real quick and then just walked up these stairs and he's out of the maze. It was not a maze. It was like a straight line. I've been in corn
mazes that were more confusing than that.
It's more of a maze to get from my room to my kitchen. Like this was just like he just walked down a hall and up some stairs. And then Aquaman in space was making me laugh because not that they really presented it as such, but the fact that he's just powerless up there. If he doesn't have water around him, like Aquaman in space is like getting further and further from any sort of abilities that he has. Now, that's different from current Aquaman that obviously they've thought about like the pressure that the ocean would have has made him very strong, almost to Superman level strength. But classic Aquaman, he's nothing without the water. So Aquaman in space just made me laugh in general. So that wasn't really a dislike as much as it was just a commentary. Batman was missing the bat symbol on his chest like every other scene.
I noticed that too. That was
It wasn't
weird.
that it was just like not colored in. It was just like it just wasn't there. Like, it was just like it fell off when he fell into the bottomless pit, but then it came back later.
He's like, oops, I lost my bat. So hang on, let me paint it back on.
And then my least favorite thing about this episode was the actual final challenge, which was Bizarro and Superman. That was the worst challenge. Like I expected them to have to fight each other or something, some like greater force. They had to fight a giant robot, but all Superman had to do was fly into a hole that was clearly cut out of its neck to fly into. And then he's like, well, there's got to be some way in here to stop him. And all he had to do was like break the one gear in there that was moving. And that was it. And it's like, all right, Superman, you won. I was so disappointed that they had to wrap it up that quickly that they gave them literally nothing of a contest. Superman and Bizarro. That should have been the biggest one, the one that had the most action going on.
Yeah, and instead it was probably like the lamest one.
Yeah.
It was even lamer than the one Apache Chief got where he didn't even use his power. He just wrestled that Hydra for no real reason.
Yeah, and then Scarecrow just found a random lasso and just like roped the Hydra. He didn't use fear powers at all. What would have been cool is if Scarecrow had used some fear gas and made Apache Chief think that maybe a tree or something was the Hydra and like more
Ooh.
intimidating. While he was distracted, Scarecrow then like wrestled the Hydra himself, or not wrestled it, but like roped the Hydra himself just to use his power in some way. Instead, it was just like Scarecrow didn't do anything. I wonder if they even had him have fear gas in this or whatever. Like,
I
I
don't
wonder
think
what
so. A
what he
lot of
actually
them
did.
didn't. There's a few of them that didn't really use their powers almost at all through anything we watched.
That's what it felt like. Huh.
So before we get into the next part, so we just want everyone to know that we've been listening to feedback, and we received some really good feedback lately about the inner kid reviews and about how they don't always make sense with with how it started versus how it is now. So we're rectifying that, and we're the inner kid reviews will truly reflect how we would feel looking at these shows as we were still kids. So there you go. We listened, we heard you, we hear you, we still hear you. Please get out of our heads. It's driving me nuts. I can't sleep anymore. And we have changed some things I think for the better. And so our final reviews will now come after the inner kid review, but we're still letting them leave their mark.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to the Hall of Justice to team up with the Super Friends against their 13 foes from remote, or not so remote, galaxies. Then see what they thought of the show, Challenge of the Super Friends.
This cartoon was super old, but still really fun. We got a bunch of superheroes, plus tons of bad guys with all kinds of fun costumes and powers. And even though they keep getting beat, hopefully one day, evil will truly triumph over all. But what's with Samurai and Toy Man? They don't really do anything. Why are they even here? Are there even toys for them?
Oh my gosh, what a fun show! There was action, there was excitement, plus I got to see some of my favorite superheroes and supervillains. More Green Lantern and Sinestro, please. Too bad Batman and Robin seemed a lot weaker than I'm used to. I mean, come on, they almost got beaten by Bizarro Alfred. But that's okay because I still had a lot of fun. Now where can I sign up to be a super friend? Or super foe?
Yeah, I really did enjoy getting to watch this show again. I went in kind of thinking that it was going to be too cheesy for me to find any value in and any fun as an adult the way I did as a kid, but I was wrong. I mean, it still has plenty of silliness for sure, and you and I went off on some big tangents about some of the stupid stuff that they did, but it's a forgivable remnant of the times, I think. It's what superheroes were back in the days of when they were first started, like the golden and silver age. It was escapism and wonder before that culture shift towards the grittier stories and the more grounded idealism. So as a kid, I think it was a great introduction for some of the DC heroes, although only a few of them really got their time to shine, as we kind of talked about, but still like a really fun treat to come back to. So I still had a really fun time watching this for as many faults as it did have. So I gave this 3 holy gee Willikers Batman cereal out of 5.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I went in with low expectations, and the first episode, the way that it was playing out, I was like, oh man, like this is getting super cheesy. And then just something switched in me where I'm like, you know what? I kind of like it this way because this is what I should have come to expect from a show of this time period, A. And B, it's just like, it's so campy that it just feels almost cheerfully fun in the way that they are pulling everything off and making so many, like, having you make so many exceptions to everything that your mind is like, no, how could that possibly work? I think there's a point where if a cartoon is trying to play itself too seriously, that any kind of mistake like that is a lot more noticeable. But if the cartoon like this is played out that way from the start, where everything's ridiculous, then it's just like, okay, so this is just this show, and I accept all of this ridiculousness because it's just fun. So I'd give this show 3.5 bowls of maskless cheetahs out of 5, and I just think it was such a good time. Like, if you can appreciate any kind of corniness and campiness, then you definitely step back in and watch an episode or 2 of this. You'll have a great time.
Yeah, it was super fun, and it's definitely one that like people from almost any decade could just sit down and have a good time and watch it and still find something that they like. So definitely one that you can do with a family for sure, which is great. We do have a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with a comment that I'd love to read. So this one is from, well, underscore ABL underscore comma. Abel. I'm just going to say Abel. Love this nostalgia trip and amusing review style. The gentlemen here offer amusing reviews and a good eye/ear for quality. Nice mix of nostalgia trip, funny takedowns of bad cartoons, and good praise for greatness. And then they go on and suggest something for us to watch, an animated series called Space Sentinels from 1977. Okay.
Ooh.
They say, a man in the street once stopped me and asked me if I'd watched this series, and my life was never the same. Then they say, not a true story.
Oh,
So, okay, yeah, we will definitely add Space Sentinels to our list, and I appreciate the quirky story, and I definitely appreciate the review. That is very high praise, so thank you so much for that. And if you do enjoy our show and you have not left us a review, please do that. Head over to Apple Podcasts and do that for us. That really does help us out a lot. 5 stars if you're feeling, if you're feeling generous. And we do like to read your comments, so if you want to leave a comment, do that, and we'll read it on here. Thank you again so much for listening, and please subscribe and go to nerdsloth.com. Check out all of our other stuff. Check out all of our other shows, especially all the shows me and Joseph's beautiful voices are on. There's plenty of them for you.
yeah. Thank you for that underscore Abel underscore comma. If that is your full name.
If that is your real name. And thank you to William for suggesting Challenge of the Super
Oh my
Friends.
gosh. Yes. Thank you so
This
much.
was a
William.
lot of fun to get back into. So
much
thanks very
fun.
much.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry. So it's time for us to say goodbye. And in 2 weeks, we'll be watching
Samurai Jack, suggested via Instagram by Geekdom Ahoy and Chewbacca Rob.
Oh.
Check.
Finally.
Finally. Oh my God. Dude, okay, someone a long time ago gave us
They came up to us on the streets and they told us to watch this show.
Yeah, and we've never Arthur Allen. Hey, Arthur Allen, you gave us a review of 3 stars once, and you were just like, hey, you didn't do Samurai Jack? Well, now that we're doing it, are you gonna give us at least 1 more star? Come on. We're doing it now.
That seems unfair.
We have been waiting to get Samurai Jack for a long time, and we're finally doing it. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited.
Once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you in 2 Saturdays.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.